Welcome to my kitchen. It feels so weird. It feels so weird for me. You may not notice, but I'm an intensely private person, and so to have all of these people in my house with me is just bananas for me. But you know what? I guess we're living in a new age, and so we have to get used to living in that new age. Hey, Miss Sean. Hey, Tyke. How you doing? Good to see everybody. How you doing? How you doing? I'm just happy that people took a break from Tiger King to come say hi to me because I can't say I would do the same thing for y'all. So a couple of facts. Today is Tuesday, and Carol definitely killed her husband. That is without a doubt. She killed her husband. That's crazy, right? Oh my goodness. I enjoyed it so much. Like I was riveted. My sister kept telling me, you got to watch Tiger King. You got to watch Tiger King. But you need to understand that hey, Claudia, I see you. Hey, Ash. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? Hey, Rock. But what's crazy is she has the weirdest taste in media. So everything, she loves true crime and all of that. And I don't need that kind of stress and pressure in my life. But she kept saying, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. Hey, Bridge, I see you. All right. How you doing? But, I was like, all right, I'll watch it. What else am I going to do? I've been sitting in the house I done lost track of time. You could tell how long I've been sitting in the house because my eyebrows are just in a state of rebellion. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I was watching my kids. I say this all the time because my eyebrows, I'm like everybody else who, came of age in the early 2000s, and I had arched my eyebrows until they were just little thin lines. And so I was always saying, I just wish I could grow my eyebrows back because my kids have these great eyebrows. And nah, y'all, I look like Father Time with these eyebrows. This is not working for me. It's not. I'm gonna deal with it though. For y'all, I'm gonna deal with it, and we're gonna see as this quarantine goes on. We just gonna see if they turn into two caterpillars that just start crawling across my forehead or what. We're gonna see what's gonna happen with these eyebrows, but I'm not gonna stress it. Just like I'm not stressing a lot of stuff right now. People keep asking me, how are you maintaining your calm during all of this? And yes, I'm a therapist and I know coping skills and coping strategies and all of that good stuff. But I think that some of us have a default setting. For me, my default setting is optimism. I'm just a naturally optimistic person. If that's not you, that's okay. But for me, the world could be falling down around me. I'd be like, oh, that's tomorrow. Things will change. Things will look up. And that's my default setting. And I'm also not really a worrier. I'm more of when something happens initially, I break down, cry, kick, scream, holler, and then I let it go and keep it moving. But that may not be your default setting. Some people, do get a little bit more anxious and get a little bit more worried about things. And we all process things in a different way. So if you are processing this right now and you're anxious and you're worried, there's no defect in you. It's okay. It's all right. But like everything else, we can work to manage it. So today, I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to talk to y'all. First of all, I'm going to slow down because my mother told me she watched this and she was like, you talking too fast. You doing that thing you do when you're trying to get it all in. And I realized, I was like, yeah, I'm used to having to, like, when you go on the news and talk about things, you have to kind of get your point out really quickly and, hit your main points and all of that kind of stuff. And then I realized, these people ain't going nowhere. Y'all don't have nowhere to go. And the only thing I got to do after this is cook dinner. So, like, we good. We're going to talk for a minute. We're going to chit chat. We're going to be good. So I was like, let me just not trip off of that. The other thing that surprised me was how many people actually watched the video, because keep in mind, I do mental health all day, every day. And for me, it's nothing new. It's just the information that comes out is nothing new. I'm surrounded by people who also do mental health all day, every day. And so when we talk, it's just like we have these shorthand conversations. You know what I mean? Like we talking like, oh yeah, well, did you try deep breathing? Did you try this? Did you try that? And so it's just things that after a while, it's like talking to a carpenter. They talk in shorthand, or talking to somebody. My husband, he remodels houses and he'll talk about this and that. I'm like, what? I mean, break it down for me. And so I realized that some of the things that I may take for granted that I do to manage myself, other people don't have the luxury of having 750 million years of doing therapy. And when I say that, I mean 2005 is when I got my master's degree. But it feels like 750 years to me. Or had, hundreds and thousands of hours of practice doing therapy with other people. So you have to be mindful that, we haven't incorporated mental health into our lives in a way that is practical and functional for everybody. So I'm tired of therapy as usual. I want to get people knowing, yes, Michonne, jargon. I want to get people knowing how to manage their manage their mental health in a way that is almost second nature. If people are feeling overwhelmed, they know what to do. If people are feeling like they're heading towards depression, they know what to do. I want us to incorporate mental health in our daily lives, like we live and like we breathe every single day. Just for instance, just something as simple as my children. I know all of your kids are probably doing the same thing, just snacking you to death. Every time you turn around, can I get a snack? Can I get a snack? Can I get a snack? And so every now and then I'm like, okay, we done been through too many bags of Doritos in here. Get an apple. Because I need you to get an apple because I know the importance of the vitamins and minerals and all of those things that are in an apple. Or making sure that I have a green with our meals at night. Those are things that I just kind of incorporate, making sure that my children stay on a schedule, even though they're not in school, for sleep, because I know they need certain amounts of sleep. Otherwise, if they're not eating fruits and vegetables, if they're not getting to sleep like they're supposed to, and bathing, because honey, they have tried me with bathing in here. You better get in the tub, because if I can smell you, you can smell yourself. Get in the tub. So those are things that I'm just used to knowing how to do and making sure that they're doing those. And in essence, as while I'm raising them, teaching them these things themselves, so that when they grow up, they know, oh man, I haven't had some fruit. I need to eat some fruit. I need a green vegetable. I haven't been getting the sleep that I need. I need to get the sleep. I need to drink water. Those kinds of things to make sure that they know how to take care of themselves. I want us to be able to begin incorporating mental health in the same way, so that it just becomes second nature to us. So that if something comes at us really quickly and, it comes out of the blue, you know how to take a minute to count and breathe. Or if you are feeling overwhelmed or tired or whatever, okay, well, I really do need to utilize that mental health day for work and use it to really take care of myself. Maybe you check in with the therapist once a week, twice a month, once a month, just to make sure that you're doing that checkup. The same way that you would do a checkup with the doctor, to make sure that you're checking in. So I just want to change how we think of mental health. I don't want us to think that it's always, and sometimes it can be this way, always, somebody with a pad and a pen, and you go and you sit on the couch and you talk. There is a space for that. But I want us to think about mental health in a way where we get enough sunshine, we get enough air, we get enough activity, we get that feeling, that exchange of energy from other people who are like-minded and positive. We get enough sleep and enough rest and enough vitamins. All of these things that take care of your brain, because your brain is in your body. So I want us to begin to think about mental health the way that we think about just health and life in general. So if we can start doing that, I think that a lot of things will become normalized. And we, if nothing else, we've learned how to sit down. Corona has sat us down. And so we've begun to be a little bit more mindful of what we're experiencing and what our day-to-day lives are. Because I guarantee you probably had no clue before all of this what you did every day. You just got up, got your children ready. I was talking to, we have a group of managers at BTST, and we were having a call. We have to still, even though a lot of us are working from home, we still have to have conference calls about how we're managing things. And she said, I think I took for granted all of the things that I do in a day. I took for granted the fact that I, get my children up, I get them out the door, I go to work, I interact with other people, I have a job with purpose, I come home, I cook dinner, I spend time. And a lot of that takes up our day. We don't think about that. We just go from the time we wake up until the time we go to sleep. But now we actually have a moment to sit down. Another thing I want to encourage you to do is right now, you really don't need to try to find meaning in all of this. Because I think that as we're going through this, we're trying to find meaning. It's got to what in the world does this mean? What are we doing here? Why? What is Corona? Is it a punishment from God? Is it man-made? What is this? And what I would just say to you is I would just encourage you to, you don't even got to get that deep right now. You really don't, because you'll overwhelm yourself with the possibilities. Normally what happens is when a big circumstance happens or something big happens in your life, you don't understand its full meaning until you can see it in the context of the rest of your life, or at least sometime down the road. I remember, I'm going to take y'all all the way back here. Back in like 2000, 2001, I worked at IHOP, and I was a waitress trying to get through graduate school and college. I was trying to get through college, and I was working at the IHOP in Towson. And there was this manager there who was like horrible. I was fine. I had been working there since I was 14. I loved it. I had friends there, Kim and Kira, my two best girlfriends worked there, whatever. And it was really great. It was a great atmosphere. But we had this manager that came in who absolutely sucked. Bear with me. I'm getting to it, y'all. And I couldn't stand him so much that I quit that job. I quit that job and I drove my little doohickey vehicle all the way to the IHOP in Randallstown. and was interviewed by a manager there. And that manager later turned out to be my husband. So now I'm happy. I'm like, yay. I'm glad he got on my nerves. I'm glad he made me sick. I'll be like, what happened to him? I hope he all right. I hope he doing good. Because he didn't change my life. He got on my nerves so bad that I had to get another job. And I met my husband, and I've been blessed ever since. So all I say is this, as far as Corona is concerned, it may not have meaning to you right now. And that's okay. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about up and down my timeline. Somebody suggested, can you talk about homeschooling, some tips and tricks for homeschooling? And I was like, girl, can you share some tips and tricks for homeschooling for me? Because I don't know. But just so you know how I struggle in this area, let me be clear. I did one of those Teach for America things with AmeriCorps, and I spent the summer teaching summer school to kids at Kelton Elementary School on Gold Street. And I realized then and there I was not built to be a teacher. I'm just not. I can teach some things. I can give you some pointers and some lessons, but to sit down in a classroom with children and try to impart the fundamentals, that's not my gift set. I don't have it. And the funny thing is, my good girlfriend Kim, who I just mentioned, she was in the classroom next to me, and Kim's classroom was phenomenal. I mean, she put me to shame. These kids were driving me ragged, and she had them organized. She had decorated her classroom real nice, and I was like, girl, you know this is a summer program, right? You're doing too much. But now she is a fabulous teacher. She followed her gift set. So what I'll say is this. As far as children are concerned, I have been, I've been a therapist for a long time, and I have 2 children. I try not to brag on them because what I find out is that if you brag on your children and their great behavior, they tend to embarrass you in the worst way. But all in all, my kids are pretty great. I love them so much, and I just think they're the bee's knees. But, I try not to brag too hard because then they show you just how human they are. But I say all that to say I've learned a lot as far as communicating with children are concerned and not just being a mother. And so with the coronavirus, it can be very, very scary for children. And so I said, what I can do is tell people how to communicate with your children during this pandemic, because it's not even just an epidemic. It is a pandemic. It is worldwide. So how can we talk to our children through all of this? The first thing is, I'll give you 3 steps, but the first thing is check in with yourself and see how you feel about it. See what's going on inside of you and what you're giving off. Because children are like little mini Inspector Gadget investigators. They watch you. And understand there's a biological and an evolutionary reason why children watch you. Children, when they're born, they have to depend on you, the parent, to take care of them and provide for their needs. So they have to be attached to you and in sync with you in a lot of ways. They have to be able to check out the micro expressions that you make to find out, is this safe? And also communicate with you, this is what I need, for their very survival. If you've ever been around a mother of a baby, he's crying and she's like, no. It's like, oh, is he hungry? No, he's wet. Well, how do you know? You ain't checking. I just know that cry. And children can do the same thing when they walk in the door. My mother, to this day, she'll say something to me, and I'll be like, I know you're going to say da-da-da-da. How you know I'm going to say it? Because I've been studying you since I was born. I know exactly what you're going to say when you're going to say it. You don't get anything past your children. So when you try to hide things from them and keep things from them because you believe that it's for their best, the best thing that you can do is to find a way to translate adult things into a child's language. So again, check with yourself, because they're watching you and they're watching your responses to all of this. How do you feel about this situation? Are you afraid about Corona? Are you anxious about Corona? Have you processed that information? Have you talked to somebody about how you feel about it? Because I know sometimes, just saying out loud to someone else who's a reasonable adult, somebody that I trust, somebody that I can be vulnerable with, this is scary as that helps me to be able to actually feel, when I get to put words to emotions, I feel a lot better about it. And so for the children, it's easier for them. I mean, for you, it's easier if you could just get it out. If you have to write it down, this is scary. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. They're talking about the National Guard, blah, 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 blah. If you're like me, you're always suspicious of certain things. So, I have to be able to process that and talk about where I am right now and how I feel right now before I go to my children and try to calm them. Because again, they know you. They're watching you. And they know exactly what your responses are going to be they know. And so if you're anxious and you're like, oh, sweetie, everything's okay, it's going to be just great. They're like, girl, she is lying. She is lying. Why is mommy lying? It must really be bad if mommy's going to lie to me. And just so you know, they did studies with children. They were on the polio ward, and they talked in this was a long time ago during the polio epidemic. And what they found was that children there, the doctors wouldn't tell them that they were dying. And so the children became even more scared. And so they did a study, and the people who were doing the study, the researchers went and talked to the children and said, what do you think is going on right now? And the children would say, I don't know, but I know it's bad because they're not telling me the truth. So children know. So that's the first thing you want to do is check in how you feel about it, manage how you feel about it, and then go approach your children. The second thing you would want to do is to figure out how they feel. What do they know? Because sometimes children, again, they're little sponges and they have their own little things they gossip about and they figure things out. And if they don't get any information, they usually take it as misinformation. So children are trying to figure out what's going on. And they talk to their friends. Before we had ever said anything about corona, my son and his friends in school had already talked about corona. And so you want to find out what do they know about a situation. Same thing happened with us as far as Santa is concerned. I'm not a big Santa person. I got to keep my voice down because my daughter's upstairs. I'm not a big Santa person. I don't push Santa. But whenever that, comes around and they ask, she's 7 now. So whenever they come around and ask, well, mommy, is Santa real? I said, well, what do you think? And children love to talk your head off. So that'll take you 10, 15 minutes for them to figure out what I think this and I think that. By the time they circle back around to you, honey, they didn't convince themselves all over again, and Christmas still comes. So, it is what it is. But I ain't the type that just won't lie to you outright. So anyway, what do you know about corona? What have you heard? Because you'd be surprised the information that they pick up or the puzzle pieces that they try to put together. So figure out what exactly do your children know about what's going on with this pandemic. More than anything, they probably know it's something big, and it's probably something that's kind of scary to them. And again, they're watching us, so they want to figure out exactly what is this that everybody's responding to? What is corona? What is going on? What is it? Can I catch it? How can I catch it? And then you want to talk to, they probably have a bunch of misinformation. So in an age-appropriate way, you want to talk to your children about what we're facing. Because again, this is something that impacts all of us, and they're facing it too. So whether they're scared or they're not scared or they're nonchalant, they're part of this. And this world is now, they'll never know a world where corona didn't exist anymore. So the world for them has now changed. So you have to begin to put it in a way that they understand. If it's a little child that's like 3 years old, oh yeah, there's a germ going around. It's a big germ. We really have to be careful for it, but there are things that we do. We wash our hands a lot, right? Right? Okay, we wash our hands. We make sure you can go over hand washing skills. You can go over, we don't go outside as much because we have to be careful for the big germs. But when it lightens up again, there are times when we can go outside. Let's go in our backyard and get sunlight, and we can run around if you have a backyard or a balcony or whatever, or if you want to take them to a park while we still can and still do social distancing, you can do that too. And explain to them, it's not the outside that has to be scary, but because we love each other so much, how we usually embrace each other and give each other hugs with people that we know, our distant family members or whatever. Instead, right now we can only hug the people in the house. And when this is over, then we can start hugging people again and going to visit grandma and all of those things. We can do that again. But for now, let's use FaceTime so you can explain it in ways that they'll understand. But then also you want to, if they are afraid, and most of us are afraid. So if they are afraid, you want to be able to don't invalidate their fears. If they say, I'm scared of this, it's okay to be scared of it. Because we have to it's just like when children are sad. What you crying for? Because I'm sad. I'm mad at you. I'm upset. And I cannot slap you. So I'm crying out of frustration. So you have to understand, children have emotions too. And it's not just the emotions that we ascribe to them. They have their own. They are complete human beings, and they have their own emotions too. So if they're fearful, they have every right to be. But as the parent, the third thing that you can do is say, I understand. It's a scary thing. I get it. I understand. Mommy is afraid too, or daddy is afraid too, because it's a big thing that we really don't know a whole lot about. But what we do know is we do know ways that we can try to keep ourselves safe. And then you can ask them, what's a way? When the flu comes or safe hand washing practices, what can we do? So you tell me, tell the kids, you tell me, what can we do? Okay. All right, well, let's do that. We'll make sure. Hey, how about this? Can you help me wipe down the knobs in the house? Can you help me wipe down the light switches? Can you help me do that? And you're empowering your children. So again, we talked about last week, inactive stress versus active stress, because now you're putting plans in action. Children love to help unless they're 11. because my son right now, he's 11, and what he wants to do is stay downstairs in the basement and make it funky and watch his shows on TV. That's what he want to do, and play his video games. Get your butt up here and help me clean up. So, but so that's what you can do, is to help them to understand and let them understand. We have a saying in my house that brave doesn't mean that you're not scared. Brave means that you do it even though you're scared. And for anybody who doesn't understand and who thinks that they won't do something because they're afraid of it, just remember when you were little and your mother would say, go downstairs and cut off the lights. And you'd be like, what? Do she know that Candyman, Slender Man, and the Ghoulie Man live down there? Why? But you got up and you went and cut off them lights, didn't you? Oh, okay. Because you weren't going to tell your mother no. You did it scared anyway. And that makes you brave. And your children, they're doing the same thing. So be mindful of the tone that you're setting in your house. Be mindful. Know that you set the tone in your house. Your children don't run this. You do. And so what you do is you set the tone. You set a tone of peace. You set a tone of order. Get you ready first. Get you straight first. And then you deal with your children. So any questions? I'm going to take Q&A now. Any questions? Because I got to cook dinner, honey. Let me see. I got two phones sitting here precariously on a paper towel holder and a box of Cold Ease, because I'm doing this on IG and Facebook. So, so any questions about how you should interact with or okay. If you don't, I also want to let people know, I don't want to do therapy as usual, and I don't want to do mental health. Can you send me an Uber Eats? That's my spoiled nephew. How important are schedules? Schedules, nothing could be more important than keeping a schedule for your children. Because the same way that we talked before about one of the managers at BTST saying that she's used to her routine, it's the same way that we as human beings have to be. We have to set a routine for ourselves. Just for me, I get up in the morning. I still get up. I keep my schedule that I kept before. I get up a little bit later now, though, because, honey, if I can sleep until the sun wakes me up, I will take it. But, I get myself ready. I get up, I get dressed, and I set an intention for that day. What am I doing today? What am I going to do? It's even an intention for work, because we all have to work. A lot of us are working from home. And so I know, like I said before, I have many, many different hats that I wear. One of those is mommy. The other one is JADA McCRAY of BTST, executive director, honey child, all of that. But those two things don't always mesh for me. They don't. If my children are there, then I'm always mommy first. And they come, and I take them everywhere that I go. When we have events and conferences and all of that stuff, I'll have them with me. They're usually sitting there on the front row or the back row watching me, bored out of their minds, but I like to have my kids with me. And so, but when my children are around, if they come to my office, then I'm distracted, because my primary focus is always them. And so I have to make sure that they have schedules as well. So when we get up in the morning, I make sure that I have an intention for myself. I take care of my meetings, my conference calls, those things that I need to take care of. But I always build some time in there for my children. So for us to interact, whether we're eating lunch together, eating breakfast together, around meals, meal times are great. Try to keep them the same time every day. We do something now, we call it McCRAY brunch, because around here, if I don't got to get up and go in the office every morning, honey, I'm not cooking you breakfast before 10:30, 11 o'clock. So either you could make yourself some cereal, or if you want mommy to cook you something, then you wait and you have McCRAY brunch. But if we do, then we sit down and we eat it all together. The same things with dinner, or we can play a game and those kinds of things. But you build your children into your schedule. Make sure that they have their things to do. Again, I am not the homeschool expert, but what I do is I keep my children on a schedule. I keep them very focused, because it helps to relieve and ease the anxiety. Again, we're dealing with not knowing. So you want children to have things that they can depend on. For the littler kids, you can do stuff like something as simple as, which outfit would you like to wear? Would you like to wear A, or would you like to wear B? Now keep in mind, these are two outfits that you picked out, so you already approve of them, but they get to choose which one. And it gives them the feeling of having control. Do you understand that? Would you like to watch Moana, or you want to watch Frozen? That's it. Those are the things that make children feel more in control. So schedules are really good, keeping your children on a schedule, keeping yourself on a schedule, but allowing yourself to be adaptable. You don't have to be a drill sergeant in your house. Sometimes you just kind of got to go with the flow. So if Frozen and Moana ain't going to do it, and they say, oh no, I want to watch Blue's Clues. Okay, well, watch Blue's Clues. That's fine. I'm not that invested in which movie you watch. You understand what I'm saying? So you want to do something like that. What about those that are parenting from home How can I manage working from home, but home is your escape from work? That's a really good question. That's really, really good. What you can do is set boundaries for your work. I have to do this too. I'm a business owner. And so I think the illusion is that I should be available 24/7, but I'm also a human being. So I have to make it really clear. These are my non-negotiable hours. I'm not picking, and make it clear to yourself as well. You can't pick up, make your workspace, make it clear, defined. Do not work in your bed. If you have to take a little area of your dining room table or wherever it is, or a little space in your living room, and you make that your work nook, make that your work nook. Do not let home invade your work. Otherwise, the lines are too blurred and it gets really very, very, very confusing. You work between this hour and that hour. You take a lunch break just like when you're at work and get away from your work nook or whatever your designated workstation is. Get dressed in the morning to go to work, or at least put on a shirt like I have on right now and pajama bottoms that y'all can't see. But I got on lipstick and a shirt though. So we good. But make sure that you're doing that, because otherwise it becomes blurred. And where do you go for respite? I don't answer the phone after certain times. I don't check my emails at certain times. And this is something that was, for me, it was a hard-won struggle. It was really hard because the lines were too blurred for me. And I felt like I was always working. There was never, ever, ever a time when it stopped. So that was really, it was just too much for me. What about those that are parenting from home while still trying to work from home and balance a relationship? Those that, struggle to make time for themselves. You never heard me talk about like how you have to be a warrior for your peace. Oh, I don't play about that. Again, I learned that it was a very hard struggle for me to learn that, to make my peace non-negotiable. My mother always says peace of mind is priceless. And she's never said anything that was more true. I'm telling you, because I have to take time for myself. Otherwise, I'm not good for anybody else. If I'm not taking the time that I need to take for me and to make sure that I do the things for me that are self-care for me, then I'm no good to anybody else. And yes, we have to take care of our children. Yes, we have to spend time with our mates. But love is really understanding that if I want someone else to love me, oh Lord, I heard a thump upstairs. Ain't no telling what them children are doing. But if I want somebody to love me, I have to demonstrate how I need to be loved. And if one of those things is me taking care of myself and me taking a moment to read a book or take a bath or listen to music that I want to listen to uninterrupted, gotta give me that space and make it clear. Make it clear. I think that a lot of times we lack communication and we don't tell people this is what I need. I need 20 minutes to myself. That's it. That's all. And you can also teach your children that too. My children know sometimes I go in prayer and they know, oh, mommy's praying. Let me leave her alone. First of all, because I got to keep us all covered. But that for me, that's also a way to recharge and to reconnect. And so that works for me. And so you just have to make it really clear that that is what you need. Do you have any book suggestions? Yes, since we're talking about this, I would say the best book that I can recommend to anyone is The Good Enough Mother. And what it does is just helps you to understand you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect for your children because they love you as you are. One of the things that struck me the most when I did, I always say when I did my time in Child Protective Services, I did not do a bid in Child Protective Services. When I started my career in Child Protective Services, one of the best things that I learned, that I saw children that we had to remove from homes because their parents had whatever difficulty that they were facing, whatever trials or struggles that they were facing, we had to remove them from their homes. And those children still love their parents. And they understood better than anybody else. My mother loves me. My father loves me. They have challenges and I don't need to be there right now. That was always shocking to me, that the children had the wisdom to know that their parents loved them, but they still had challenges. So your children will understand that you're very human. And if you let them know that you're human, it's okay. It's okay because they know that you love them as long as you're demonstrating love. When whatever that love language is between you and your child. But as long as you're demonstrating love, your children will usually forgive. And that's just the truth. How can you get loved ones to take this self-distancing seriously? I got a loved one in particular who believes that self-distancing just means holding house parties. And so what I'll say to that is, CNN is available for everybody. There's nowhere you can go to not hear about how important this is and how, how deadly this virus can be. and the whole world is crying out about this. And so at some point, people have to make their own decisions. But I tell you this, I know how important self-distancing is, and I made it very clear. Don't nobody come to my house this summer. And all of y'all, when they first let people out, y'all go ahead. First wave, have fun. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to stay home and see how y'all handle it out there. I don't never need to be the first man on the moon, child. Go ahead. Y'all go, and then I come back. Are you on nightly? No, I'll be here on Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. And again, feel free, reach out to BTST Services or DM me if you guys have specific questions about specific topics that you're interested in. Again, we're not trying to do mental health as usual. It's not a group therapy session. I'm not going to sit here with a pen and diagnose anybody. But, just feel free to say what you think. I want so badly for people to incorporate this in their everyday life. Yes, Erica, Aisha, self-care isn't selfish. Yes, please, honey, I fight for it. I mean that. I'm serious. I get in there. I have my essential oils. I take time and I meditate. I wish I knew how to arch my eyebrows and take care of those, but I don't. So we're going to have to deal with these struggle brows together as we go through this quarantine. I already said that, but you see how strongly I mean it. But all right, everybody, I'm going to say good night. I got to go cook dinner for my family and get it on the table. I pray that all of you are safe. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, one of my very best friends is a healthcare worker. She's a nurse and she goes to the hospital 4 days a week. And we have other people in our family and our friends who are, first responders, work in the jails, work in emergency rooms, work in hospitals. And I just pray, and all of those people who are essential employees who have to go to work every day, I pray for you and your safety and the safety of your families and your children. And just know that while the rest of us are sitting here in our homes comfortably, and many of us are complaining about it, we realize that there are people out there literally who have to put their lives on the line. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a good evening. Y'all take it easy. And I see y'all on Thursday. Come back because I'm lonely. Bye.